to all things NBA from A to Z. I'm Kris Pursiainen here alongside Albert Nguyen and Zak Noble. And man, am I excited to get to talking hoops with these two fellas right here. Welcome to our new podcast. I thought we should get started here just before we get into hoops with a little bit about who we actually are. And we'll keep it quick because you guys would rather just hear hoops talk than people talking about who's going to be talking about hoops and why they're going to be talking about hoops. Listen, I'm Kris Pursiainen. I'm a Knicks beat reporter for WFUV Sports. Will also be a Jets beat reporter for WFUV Sports this coming season. I'm someone who has been around basketball since I started playing when I was 4. I have coached youth a lot, both as a high school job and then also recently, in between years of college, more just for the love of it. I've written for Sports Illustrated. I've podcasted about basketball since I was 17 years old. I just turned 21 a couple months ago. I'm just starting my senior year of college at Fordham University in the Bronx, and I'm very excited to be here on All Things NBA, talking basketball, my favorite sport in the world, with these two geniuses. So thanks for tuning in. Zak, let's hear from you, man.
Dude, I appreciate that and happy to have you. Glad this came together, boys. And this might be the last time you call me genius, so I'm going to soak that in a little bit. That's haven't been called that in a while. I'll take it. But with that said, I mean, long time hoops head. KG is what got me into it. KG, MJ, and Kobe. Really, I had season tickets to the Timberwolves since 5 years old. Been to over 250 games, been to a lot of Celtics playoffs games, living out there, what have you. But basically, what got my intro into the sports business game, I was in the agent world for, I don't know, 6-7 years, represented guys overseas, basketball, and then football was close to making it in the NFL, then fell short a little bit. So I got into podcasting, and I've been podcasting for 6 years now. Third show with podcasting, and couldn't be more excited. I'm pumped up to be still partnered with Ball's Life and got a lot in store for this coming show for sure.
What's up, y'all? It's Albert Nguyen. A lot of you guys know me as AC on Twitter, but born and raised in Texas, Dallas, but specifically. So, I mean, my team is the Dallas Mavericks through and through. But I did my schooling out in the Bay Area. It was the Baron Davis, Al Harrington, Steven Jackson era back in the day when it's the Roracle before before I got commercial right now. But I had season tickets there for 4 years. Watched that team, fell in love with that team. They beat the Dallas Mavericks in 07 in the first round. Then I did I did more schooling down in SoCal, and that was peak Kobe Bryant. So like 07, 08 era. Met him a few times. He used to train in our school facility every morning at 5 a.m. So I would go and stalk him all the time. But I think the beauty of this podcast, and again, everybody, thank you for jumping on. The beauty of this podcast is you're going to get 3 different perspectives, 3 different backgrounds, 3 different ages. I think it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be really compelling. We're going to challenge each other. It's not just going to be straight agreement, but it's going to be a lot of, hot takes. But at the same time, it's how we feel about the league and how we see hoops. So I'm excited for it.
Dude, I completely learned something about you that you had season tickets during We Believe. Was that your family or what?
Yeah, it was right before that. No, man, season
Can't
tickets.
believe we've never talked about that.
Season tickets in the Bay in the mid 2000s was dirt cheap. Like, it was cheaper to go to a game than going out and having drinks with your friends. So instead of doing that,
there we go.
Yeah, I would go on the BART, get to the Oracle, and watch a game. I mean, those were great nights.
Sick, man.
Zak, you brought up Garnett as the player for you. I have 3. I have 3 and a bonus one. So I played basketball from 4 years old at an organized level until I was like 15-ish. But it wasn't until I was like 11, and that was in 2013, that I really, really fell in love with the NBA, following the NBA, following the storylines, following the superstars, learning the role players. My dad used to say, neither of my parents like basketball. So my dad was always astounded by my ability to, play 2K and know what every player was good at. Like, he was like, that's so many people. I'm like, Dad, that's not anything. Like, that's not impressive. That's just, you just know that if you watch. Like, um, he was always a hockey guy growing up from Finland, so on brand.
For sure.
But and then also on brand, my mom's Dominican and her side of the family is all Mets baseball. So that is, really like there was no basketball influence for me besides just wanting to play when I was 4 because I wanted to do dunks in the big orange ring. And I ended up falling in love with the sport. For me, Linsanity, Jeremy Lin is that bonus player, right? He's who made me realize the power of sports in terms of narratives, in terms of stories, feel good stories. Like, he made me realize sports really can be a vehicle for a lot of the emotions that I think life is all about. But in terms of play style, man, OKC, KD, Kyrie Irving, rookie in Cleveland, those 2 seasons, KD the season after the finals loss, Kyrie his rookie season, and then the guy who made me fall in love with following a team on a game-to-game basis just for the sake of a couple players, J.R. Smith, Tyson Chandler, but Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony was the guy for me growing up, and I think so much of my taste in players today is affected by that. I love Paolo Banchero. I love Devin Booker and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Anyone who I feel like has a masterful level command of the scoring aspect of the game and has high feel, everything that passing stuff gets real easy.
Well, we can agree. Carmelo was a top 5 favorite player of mine. I got like 5 jerseys of his. Like that was my probably favorite college player ever. I'd agree with that.
Special era. So, I want to kind of just get into the pod in a sense here. We've got basketball going on. We are blessed to have basketball going on, and we've got NBA players out there putting on some shows. Frankly, in the FIBA tournament, I am having a fantastic time watching Dennis Schroeder on Germany. I'm having a fantastic time watching RJ Barrett on Canada. He and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander are kind of figuring things out as like this 1-2 punch of that Canada team, and it's working. It's pretty fun. One of my countries, the Dominican Republic, this guy Karl Anthony Towns has a thing or two to prove to some people out there, and he seems intent on maybe following in the footsteps of a Western Conference All-Star from last season and Lauri Markkanen, using FIBA as that soapbox, that stepping point for him to start to make a statement. I think everyone's looking at a different Timberwolf, right? Everyone's looking at Ann Edwards going, oh, this is a dude. This is a guy. I think Cat is also feeling a little bit of push from that, and so we're seeing him ball out with the Dominican Republic. Personally, I'm super biased. The Hernan Gomez brothers are so much fun to me. Billy Hernan Gomez was a Knick. Juancho, everyone knows now, as Bo Cruz and loves that storyline. I just think this FIBA tournament is actually a blast. Like, I'm having so much fun watching Fournier cook side to side in the mid range for France. I'm like, what are your guys' takeaways and in less of a vague sense? Out of the teams that made the second round, who do you guys like here? Who do we think feels sturdy enough to kind of make things through? I started with Zach. Al, I want to go to you first.
Yeah, I mean, we won't see Fournier much longer, right? Like they got eliminated, which is crazy. They had the second best odds to win it all. Right now, if you look at the betting board, USA obviously has is the favorite at -145. After that, some very surprising teams. Canada, Shai, KP kind of mentioned it, but Shai's been cooking in the mid range. He's just taken his game to the next level. He's only 25 years old. We'll probably go deeper into him, but I think he is going to be a superstar and arguably is already a superstar. Australia is the third best odds there, followed by Serbia and Spain, Germany, Slovenia, all the way down to sixth best odds. Luka's been cooking, but I mean that's obvious, or that was expected as well. I think it's cool to see him as a Mavericks guy get in a little better shape. I think the biggest thing for him is to stay in shape. I think he came into the season last year in pretty good shape, but as the season continued, all those Waterburgers, all those Taco Bell runs, all those Jack in the Box runs right there in downtown Dallas. Trust me, I get it. It's so easy. The access is right there. Hopefully he just needs a nutritionist and a chef along him all the time. But no, it's been a great so far, great first round. I think it's really cool to see Team Canada. Um, I've always kind of had an affinity for them, even back during the Steve Nash days. I think it's sad that Jamal Murray is not playing, but it's cool. Shea just take his game and be the leader for this team, and I think he's going to end up being like the MVP of the tournament. Man, I think he's going to have all the numbers. It's between him and Luka. What about you, Zach?
Yeah, I think Shea needed this more than Jamal Murray, just from a pressure, confidence standpoint, and I think it's just going to level him up for when it really matters here. But yeah, shout out Kris, giving my boy Carl some love right at the beginning. It's been a blessing, honestly. I didn't really know what to expect here, and it came out of the woodwork that he wanted to actually play in this, and the fact that he's feeling like the man again and just doing this all for his mom, and just the purpose and meaning behind the way he's playing. It's giving him life back into the game. You can just feel the jubilation. It's been super special to watch as a Timberwolves fan. It's got me re-energized in general for Cat again, as a guy who's been really fatigued on the guy, and just it's been a draining couple of years with him, even though he's been underrated and just what overshadowed by Ant. I mean, that's been the big thing, and he's still that dude. He still can play on a very high level and be a great number two. And I think I can only hope, I guess, this gets him to another level confidence wise. And he needs it, and mentality and the teammate spirit that this international game brings. But my biggest surprise, honestly, has been Rondé Hollis Jefferson, as a guy that's been around the league. It's just, I know the memes of him and Kobe and the jokes going the way he looks and this game is looking, but yeah, I mean, it's crazy how many times he's been able to mimic him with different shots, and just the way he's moving and handling the ball even, and in the post, and just, yeah, there is a lot of similarities there when you're not playing against great players and whatnot, but just the way he's scoring, the points he's putting up. I don't care about a couple moves here and there, but like, he's dominating and keeping his team alive. That's a trash team outside of him. So that's been really exciting to watch, and give a shout out to a guy like Carlik Jones, who's put up some big games. He's pretty good international player, but just a guy that won't ever get a shot in the NBA. And that's what's fun about FIBA to me, is watching guys that you don't get to watch, because I don't watch a ton of international ball except when it comes to stuff like this where they can be competing with the USA team. But yeah, those are the guys that headlines for me. I would say, I mean, it's still USA and Canada. I think Luka can do enough to win, but I'll be shocked if Canada or the USA lose to Slovenia. That's for sure.
Yeah, I can't have spent all the time I spent in this previous NBA playoffs going, everybody, please look at the 4 teams that made it to the end. Every single one has a top 10 player. Every single one has a top 25 player. Every single one has a great coach. Every single one has a great bench. Every single one has continuity. But look at the 2 teams that made the finals. They have so much continuity and a great superstar head coach relationship and a dynamic where the 2 really trust each other. And each team has a top 10 player, a top 25 player, a great bench, and great role players that are stars in their roles, and a great coach. Like, I can't spend all that time talking about how a complete team is what wins these playoff environment games and then go and be like, oh, but Luka's going to put up enough to just like carry. I can't, it's too off brand for me. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Right. And so for me personally, this debate's been big recently. People debating on NBA Twitter a lot recently. LaMelo Ball or Austin Reeves. I think it says a lot about like name brand value, yada yada, because both guys have super high name brand value. You know, people act like Reeves is some underdog still. Like, no, that guy has a signature shoe. Like, we gotta
Yep.
talk honestly, right? And I think looking at someone like Reeves and the perspective you kind of look at him from, I think is the point. Like, I think Team USA built themselves like that very much on purpose, right? Kessler, Reeves, Hart, these guys who go out there and are stars in their roles. And for Team USA, you know, the 99th, literal 99th percentile athleticism that Anthony Edwards brings to the table makes the translation of his game to FIBA like he's got, I don't know, AI doing it live for him. Like he's just speaking in one language and it's coming out in another. Like he's not, there is no translation. It's just there. The game is just there. Because at the end of the day, who can stay in front of him when he's driving to the basket? Who's stopping him from getting to the rim? And he seems to be willing to make those kickouts now. And we got, you know, a lot of good shot makers, whether it's Brunson or Halliburton, good shooters. We got Ingram struggling in that ancillary role. You know who
Not
won't?
even playing, man.
Cam Johnson. Cam Johnson will play that role that Ingram doesn't want to play, but no problem. And so, you know, I just think USA has the pieces to make it all fit and to make it all work.
Yeah, another aspect there, KP. Like, I think a lot of the other countries are gonna have those name brands from the Lefty Jordan, or I guess his nickname is Lefty Kobe, out of Jordan. You know, Canada is always gonna have Shea and those guys, but the difference is gonna be the depth, man. You mentioned it for the U.S. team, all those guys that are just on the bench. I think game two, I don't think anybody played more than 20 minutes. And I don't think anybody played less than 8 minutes, something like that. You could correct me if I'm wrong. You could double check the box score, but that is crazy depth, crazy. Just we didn't even mention Mikal Bridges, who could be like the premier perimeter defender in the world right now, right? So, I mean, if you have one, two, if you have three of those guys going on at once on the offensive side, they're pretty much unbeatable. I think it's going to come down, in my opinion, to rebounding. So guys like Jaren Jackson, Paolo, and Kessler, those guys, they just have to dominate the defensive glass. I think they will. And if they do that, I think minus 145 is a discount, to be honest. I think that is great value. If you guys are into betting, minus 145 for them to win a tournament is really good value.
I think
Well, it's
USA,
crazy. You talk about rebounding, and the guards are the ones leading the way.
Yep.
I mean, Ant's averaging 4.5, and Jalen Brunson, Austin Reeves are the top rebounders on the team. I just think it's because playing time, but it's an interesting thing to talk about because where are they going to change? You know, I mean, I don't see the rotation change. I've been right about everything rotation wise from the beginning. The one thing that that stood out to me, the way the results have happened, is like the scoring, the way it's been dispersed across the board, you know, and just like assists. Austin Reeves is leading the team in assists with 6 a game, and Ant's right behind him. It's like when the exhibition games, I mean, Halliburton was dominating like 10 plus assists, and then Ant had multiple 20, 30 point games. So it's pretty crazy how balanced it's been all around.
You know, I agree with Al here. I think USA is a great bet. Minus 165 is probably what I'd set the line at. Like if I were a book, just trying to get people who are really confident to bite on it. I can't see USA not running away with it. And that's dramatic. I know. I know that's a little definitive, right? But you watch Canada, and I've watched a lot of Canada this tournament. They're really the only team that to me I think stands a legit like Germany is good. Germany's not hang with USA for 4 quarters good.
Yeah.
And Canada's really they stand a chance, but not really. And Olynyk has been fantastic for them, and he's opened up so much. And Barrett has had some great games, but not recently. And Gilgeous-Alexander, frankly, as someone that said for years and years and years, he's going to be a perennial top 10 guy in the league. he has not looked like that kind of guy in this tournament. I think there needs to be some more sharing and caring. I think there needs to be a little bit more distribution of the rock from Shea. Uh, you see someone like Schroeder for Germany is just taking what he gets. All right, I got to drive to the rim. We're gonna drive to the rim. We're gonna do a good job of that. We're gonna use our body control, and we're gonna get the layup to go. Oh well, I drive and a teammate's open. All right, well let's just kick that. Shea isn't thinking about it so binarily. He kind of like is like, oh, I'm gonna get a bucket this time, so that then they have to respect the pull up and the pick up. Like, just go through the motions, just play. I think, funnily enough, Barrett is doing a better job of that in these games, just letting the game come to him. The other game, he was playing terribly, right? I think he went 1 for 10 from the floor, and yet he had 6 assists by the end of it because RJ was getting to the rim and drawing two and kicking out to the right guy. And whether the shot's going in or not, Tom Thibodeau has really etched into Barrett that process is everything. And making things easy for yourself is everything. Not getting in your own way is everything. And at the end of the day, I trust a team that has Jalen Brunson, who's very cut and dry, very black and white, we're going to get a bucket or we're going to kick out. You got Halliburton, great connector. Reeves doing his thing with shooting and playmaking, defense too. And then you have guys like Edwards and Kessler who just fill their roles so perfectly. Walker, really great at filling his role, and Edwards really great at filling his very high value role. I think the fit is too good, and I just think that minus 145 is I don't know. It feels like matinee odds for the Knicks at home against like the Washington Wizards last season. Like,
Yeah.
you kind of just take that and bet on the talent to work out.
Yeah, we're talking about guys who made the leap during international play into a great NBA season. Larry Markkinen last year is kind of like the perfect example of what can be done. Devin Booker a few years back did the same thing. Kevin Durant, when he first jumped into international basketball, did the same thing. I think a lot of people are expecting guys like Ant Edwards and Shea, but I think those guys are like borderline all stars, superstars already, right? Like Shea's a first team All NBA. Anthony Edwards arguably was the best player in that first round in the playoffs before they lost. He was not only scoring, but like an elite defender as well. To me, I think the biggest potential for someone to develop and maybe get into that all-star consideration. KP might be happy to hear this, but it's RJ, man. Because I think RJ is like such to me, is a pretty limited player that can be so much better if he just opens up like his creativity, not only with the ball, but off the ball, and hopefully being one of the leaders on the team for a country like this, for Canada basketball. I think hopefully it should help him grow and help him develop. So I'm excited. It should be pretty fun for a Knicks fan right now, man, because you see Brunson, you see Hart, you see RJ, you see these guys that are playing in international basketball, which is a rare thing.
Josh Hart's
Man, I think we're past the time of an RJ leap, but we'll save that for another day.
Hey, man. It's a fair thing to bring up. You talk about Tom Thibodeau saying all season last year he wants him to cut some of those threes out of the shot diet and just stick to getting easy twos for himself. He's so strong. I think personally, I talk all the time about how people really undervalue strength as a form of NBA advantage creation. Like, yes, handle is super important. Yes, reading the floor is super important. But if you're really strong, like Jalen Brunson isn't just nimble, right? He's built like a tank and he's nimble. That's the whole thing, right? Julius Randle is 6'9", 255, and he can dribble, but he's nimble and he can move. He can slide those puppies. There's a clip of him guarding Kyrie out on the perimeter, and he stays with him step for step. And Kyrie hits a really tough shot over him because that's what Irving does, right? But Randle sticks out to me like that a lot because when he is able to move, he's not hurt like he was in the playoffs. When he can move, right? So, with Barrett, I think he can really take that strength and use it to his advantage. Speaking of strength, too, someone I was going to give some shine to is Josh Hart, who you guys brought up. I mean, Steve Kerr was like, what position does he play? He plays winner. Like, he's just good. Josh Hart is a coach's dream. He doesn't want the ball. He doesn't want shot attempts. He wants to go out. He wants to get you the basketball. He wants to blow up offensive plays for the other team. He wants to make plays. I asked him one time if it feels like he's playing a different sport out there, because he had this stretch last season where he punches the ball out of someone's hands when they're posting him up.
Oh,
And
I
then,
love that.
like, the next defensive play, sees a pass going and dives and catches it with one hand like an interception. I'm like, dude, you're actively playing football out there.
Yeah.
Like, does it ever feel like that? And of course, Jalen Brunson looks at him. He goes, "In a different sport, you're playing the wrong sport, dude." But those two are a lot of fun. But for me, I think that Hart is doing his thing out there. Kerr said, forget 50-50 balls. He gets the 30-70 balls, and he gets them,
Yeah.
and that's, I'll quote Josh Hart himself. He told Mitchell Robinson, he said, you get offensive rebounds, you get putbacks, you get second chance points. I get rebounds that break teams. My rebounds break teams. And that type of like psychotic view on rebounds, right? That's a far
That's
cry
true.
from Torian Prince, right? Like, I think that when you're that crazy about it, not only do you belong on Team USA, you belong on a Tom Thibodeau team, and you belong one day in the conversation of guys where it's like, that guy just loved winning. That guy just loved doing what it takes. USA having that, jetpack up their ass and in the form of Josh Hart, I think is really, really everything for them mentality wise. Brunson, hold them steady. I love USA.
No, the
Zach?
only thing I'll note, I mean, on guys I expect to take a jump, RJ, I want to bring that up another time, but I do expect, like I said, Shea with just confidence wise. So him and Karl Anthony Towns, like, yeah, they might not be able to get a ton better, like production wise, but just in certain moments and being leaders for their team, I think that's where we're going to see confidence. Where as Ant just playing within a system, like I expect him to level up because of this. Guys like Jalen Brunson, I don't expect to do much, or Brandon Ingram, because they've taken a decline in their role. Halliburton, Reeves, Mikal Bridges, those guys, I definitely expect to level up. Paulo, just because they're playing with such superior talents and dominating and looking really good within those roles. So that's what excites me about guys leveling up and having like the Donovan Mitchell approach. But it's going to be interesting who out of this group actually comes back for the Olympics next year. Do we got time to talk about that, or should we save that for another day?
We'll save it for another day. We're going to wrap up our first episode here. I want to give you each an opportunity to say goodbye to the people, tell them where they can follow you, and I'll do the same after you both. Al, let's start with you.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening. First episode, I thought it was great. But you can find me on all socials at Analytics Capper. That's one word. Full name is Albert Nguyen. But yeah, check me out on Twitter, IG, TikTok. I'm trying to do the TikTok thing. But no, it's been great, guys. Thank you so much. And I'll kick it over to you, Zach.
Yeah, everybody get Al's picks. Subscribe to that boy and his picks if you want to make some money. He's always throwing out free plays too. But TikTok, man, good for you. I'm not there yet. Maybe by the end of a couple of episodes here, but just Twitter, ZAKNOBLE. All things ball is life. You'll be seeing our show all over that. We're gonna be the primary show there yet. Hopefully get some playback going here sooner than later. So we'll do some live shows with questions as well for everybody, but also involved in LinkedIn, trying to be more in a voice there and get the show promoted on there where it's an untapped area. So I'll do the LinkedIn side of our show.
Absolutely. I just got to say that you should look at my name and maybe copy paste it from the description of this video into your browser, because I won't try to spell it for you guys. But you can go follow me at Kris Pursiainen on Twitter, Instagram, you name it. Thanks so much for listening. We had a great time talking hoops. Hope you guys felt like you were here alongside us by the campfire, just getting to chat. Get ready. Stay tuned for more episodes like this and even more fun times talking basketball. For Zach, for Al, I'm KP signing off.